Camilla is going to make a whole chapter. She knew that she was disqualified from becoming Princess of Wales on 3 counts. One, that her looks weren't up to it. Secondly, that her aristocratic lineage wasn't up to it.
A recent decision in the British royal family has changed everything for Prince William, King Charles, and surprisingly, Queen Camilla. Reports say that William has officially received a Balmoral Cottage, a place full of royal history, with help from Charles. However, the shocking part is what happened next. Camilla was completely left out of this deal. She has no access, no rights, and no say in the matter. Now people are asking if this is how things are done in the monarchy, or if it shows a bigger problem within the royal family. Join us as we explore the full story of this inheritance that has reportedly rocked Buckingham Palace. The cottage that started it all. Nestled in the vast 50,000-acre Balmoral Estate in the Scottish Highlands is a cozy 3-bedroom cottage known as Tam-Na-Ghar. While most people might overlook this property, it holds special significance for the British royal family. This cottage was a gift from Prince William's great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, just before she passed away in 2002. At that time, William was a young student at St. Andrews University, and the cottage became a special getaway for him and Catherine Middleton, where they shared some of their happiest early moments together. Unlike the grand castles and palaces that dominate the royal property portfolio, Tam-Na-Ghar is small and deliberately hidden from public view. No official photographs of the interior have ever been released, and no known images of the cottage exist in public circulation. The property is built in the traditional style of Scottish lodges and sits near Birkhall, the residence that King Charles and Queen Camilla use when they visit the Balmoral Estate. Over the years, William and Catherine have returned to Tam-Na-Ghar many times, bringing their 3 children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, along for summer holidays filled with hiking, fishing, horse riding, and long walks through the Scottish countryside. The cottage is very special to William because it reminds him of 2 important women in his life: his great-grandmother, the Queen Mother, who gifted it to him, and Catherine, with whom he has created many happy memories there. Friends say that William and Catherine feel most at home and relaxed at Tam-Na-Ghar, away from the busy royal life in London. A source shared with Vanity Fair that the family often stays at the cottage to give Balmoral Castle a break when the Queen has lots of guests. This arrangement is great for everyone because it allows the family to enjoy some much-needed space and privacy that they can't find in the main castle. The Balmoral Estate itself is a place of enormous historical significance. It was first purchased by Prince Albert in 1852 for Queen Victoria, who called it a paradise in the Highlands. The estate covers roughly 50,000 acres of stunning Scottish countryside within the Cairngorms National Park and includes approximately 150 buildings, from the main castle to hunting lodges, staff cottages, and holiday lets. For generations, the royal family has gathered there every summer, and it was at Balmoral that Queen Elizabeth II spent her final days before her death in September 2022. The estate is not part of the Crown Estate but is privately owned by the monarch, which makes questions about who inherits individual properties on the grounds a deeply personal and private matter. But in early 2026, reports began to emerge that the status of this cottage and the broader question of who controls what on the Balmoral Estate had allegedly become the subject of intense discussion within the royal family. What seemed like a simple inheritance was reportedly about to become something much more complicated, and the fallout would allegedly reach all the way to the top of the monarchy. The Queen Mother's hidden gift. Before she passed away, the Queen Mother made a number of arrangements regarding her personal property. She left Birkhall to Prince Charles, her favorite grandson, and she left Tam-Na-Ghar to Prince William. According to reports, this was not a random choice. The Queen Mother had a particularly close bond with William, and she reportedly wanted him to have a private place of his own on the Balmoral Estate where he could escape the public eye and build a life that felt normal. William had spent many childhood holidays on the estate, and the Scottish Highlands had a deep personal meaning for him, especially after the death of his mother, Princess Diana, in 1997. He once said in a speech that in the dark days of grief that followed, he found comfort and solace in the Scottish outdoors, and that as a result, the connection he felt to Scotland would forever run deep. What made the gift even more significant was that the Queen Mother allegedly structured it in a way that kept the cottage outside the formal royal property system. system. Unlike Balmoral Castle itself, which passed from Queen Elizabeth II to King Charles as private property of the monarch, Tam-Na-Ghar was reportedly given to William personally. This meant that the cottage was not part of any Crown estate holding and was not subject to the same rules that governed larger royal residences. It was William's and his alone. For years, this detail went largely unnoticed by the public. William and Catherine used the cottage quietly, visiting during university holidays and later bringing their children for summer trips. The property blended into the vast landscape of the Balmoral Estate, and most royal watchers focused their attention on the bigger residences like the castle itself and Burke Hall.
Queen Elizabeth II spent her final days at her home away from home, Balmoral Castle, which has been a sanctuary really for the royal family since the days of Queen Victoria.
No journalists wrote about Tam-Na-Ghar's ownership structure, and no constitutional experts debated who had the right to live there. It was, in every sense, a private family matter that stayed private. But according to sources close to the royal household, the specific terms of the Queen Mother's gift would allegedly become a point of contention in 2026. When questions about who had the right to use, manage, or claim properties on the Balmoral estate reportedly began to surface in private conversations among senior royals. The gift from a beloved great-grandmother was about to become the center of a much larger storm, and no one saw it coming. Charles steps in. King Charles III has always had a complicated relationship with property. He inherited the massive Duchy of Cornwall when his mother became queen in 1952, and that estate alone is worth over £1 billion, covering nearly 140,000 acres of land across southwest England. When Queen Elizabeth passed away at Balmoral Castle on September 8, 2022, Charles inherited the castle and the entire surrounding estate as his private property. He also kept Burke Hall, the residence his grandmother had left him, which he and Camilla had lovingly renovated over the years with antique furniture and rugs from the Middle East. Charles once described the property as a cozy place. In total, Charles reportedly controls one of the most impressive property portfolios in the United Kingdom, including Balmoral, Sandringham, Clarence House, Highgrove, and dozens of other residences. In early 2026, reports surfaced that Charles took an unexpected step concerning the Balmoral estate. It is said that the king stepped in to make sure that William would keep ownership of Tam-Na-Ghar, the cozy cottage, no matter how the estate's management might change in the future. Some insiders believe that Charles might have also set aside extra resources or nearby land to help William enjoy the property, creating a lasting spot on the estate for the next generation. Lately, this choice has seemed very important. Since the beginning of 2024, Charles has been getting treatment for cancer. Even so, he has shown amazing strength by keeping up with his royal duties. Many people are wondering how long he will remain king. Palace sources say that Charles has been working hard to organize the royal family's matters, fixing old disputes, clearing obstacles, and making sure that William is prepared to take over a strong and well-managed monarchy when the time comes. This focus on preparation has reportedly extended to the physical properties of the crown, and the Balmoral estate has been at the heart of those discussions. Charles opened Balmoral Castle to public tours for the first time in 2024, a decision that no previous monarch had ever made. He also created a Celtic maze in the castle gardens as a tribute to his late mother, and he continued the tradition of hosting family members at the estate during the summer months. In January 2026, Charles was spotted attending a Sunday service at Crathie Kirk near Balmoral, marking one of his first visits to Scotland that year. These changes and gestures showed a king who was actively reshaping his inheritance and thinking carefully about legacy. The Tam-Na-Ghar decision was allegedly part of that larger effort to tidy up the royal estate and make clear decisions about who would control what in the years ahead. But what made this particular decision so explosive was not what Charles gave to William. It was allegedly she who he left out of the arrangement entirely, and the ripple effects of that exclusion would reportedly be felt across the entire royal household. Camilla left out completely. According to reports, when King Charles confirmed William's inheritance of Tam-Na-Ghar and allegedly strengthened his claim to parts of the Balmoral estate, Queen Camilla was not included in the arrangement at all. Sources close to the palace have claimed that Camilla was given no ownership stake, no management authority, and no formal role in any of the decisions related to the cottage or the surrounding properties that were allegedly transferred to William. She was, in the words of one insider, left out completely. This reportedly came as a shock to some within the royal household, especially given that Camilla has been Charles's wife since 2005 and has served as Queen Consort since his accession to the throne in September 2022. She and Charles have used Birkhall as their primary Scottish residence for over 2 decades, honeymooning there after their wedding, celebrating anniversaries there, and self-isolating there together during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Camilla has been a visible and active presence at Balmoral during the annual summer gatherings, and she has attended Sunday services at Crathie Kirk alongside the King on numerous occasions. According to some accounts, Camilla had allegedly expressed interest in having a more formal role in the management of certain Balmoral properties, particularly those that could be used for charitable or high-end hospitality purposes. But insiders have suggested that Charles's decision to exclude Camilla from the Tam-Na-Ghar arrangement may have been influenced by a broader understanding within the royal family about how property should pass between generations. Traditionally, major royal estates have flowed from monarch to heir, bypassing the consort entirely. Queen Elizabeth II inherited Balmoral from her father, King George VI, and she left it to Charles, not to Prince Philip. The Queen Mother left Birkhall and Tam-Na-Ghar to her grandchildren, not to any spouses. In this situation, leaving Camilla out was said to follow the royal family's old traditions, and some palace insiders claimed it was nothing out of the ordinary. However, the optics of the situation were allegedly much harder to manage. Reports suggest that the decision reinforced a perception among some palace watchers and members of the public that Camilla, despite her title and her years of service beside the king, remains an outsider when it comes to the deepest layers of royal wealth, tradition, and property. Questions about what would happen to Camilla after Charles's death have circulated for years, and this latest development allegedly did nothing to put those questions to rest. For those who have always questioned Camilla's place in the House of Windsor, this was reportedly seen as confirmation that the old guard of the monarchy never fully let her in, and that the future belongs firmly to William and Catherine. The late Queen Elizabeth had a personal jewelry collection worth over £100 million. In 2022, it was reported that she left most of her jewelry to Catherine, the Princess of Wales, instead of Camilla, which reportedly upset some people. This, along with the situation regarding Balmoral Cottage, suggested that the Queen and King Charles were making careful decisions about which part of the family would have the most power in the future. These decisions seemed to favor William, Catherine, and their children, whether people thought that was fair or not. The feelings connected to these decisions are really important to think about. Camilla worked hard for many years to connect with the public, especially after the difficult times that came when Charles's marriage to Princess Diana ended. She earned the title of Queen Consort and has been recognized for her commitment to royal responsibilities and her efforts with charities that help with reading, domestic violence, and caring for animals. To be allegedly excluded from a family property arrangement, regardless of the legal or traditional justification, was reportedly a painful reminder that acceptance in the royal family can be conditional and that the past is never truly forgotten. The rift behind the walls. Camilla's exclusion from the Balmoral inheritance did not happen by itself. It occurred during a time when tensions between Prince William and his dad were reportedly higher than they had been in years, and the whole royal family was facing one problem after another. In late 2025, the royal family was shaken by the decision to take away all of Prince Andrew's titles, including the title of prince that he had since he was born. He was also removed from Royal Lodge because of the ongoing issues related to his connections with Jeffrey Epstein. Andrew had to move to a house on the Sandringham estate, and reports said he was living under strict rules, with limits on where he could go and what he could do. According to multiple reports, William had been pushing hard for Andrew to face serious consequences for years, while Charles had been more reluctant to take drastic action against his younger brother. Sources close to the Prince of Wales have claimed that William was frustrated by what he saw as his father's slow response to the Andrew situation, and that the disagreement created real friction between the two men. One palace insider reportedly described their discussions as explosive at times, with William allegedly telling Charles that allowing Andrew to remain in a position of comfort and visibility would drag the monarchy into further scandal at the worst possible moment. This broader tension reportedly spilled over into the property discussions as well. According to some accounts, William had been quietly making his own plans for the future of the monarchy for some time, including detailed thinking about where he and Catherine would live and how the royal estate portfolio would be managed when he eventually became king. William and Catherine moved their family from Balmoral Cottage to Forest Lodge in Windsor in late 2025, a decision widely interpreted as a signal that William favors Windsor over Buckingham Palace as a future working base. Royal commentators noted that the move represented a clear statement about the kind of monarchy William intends to lead, one that is more private, more family-focused, and less tied to the grand traditions of the past. The passing down of Balmoral Cottage was seen as more than just giving away a house. People thought it was a sign of what the monarchy would look like in the future and who would have a say in it. When Charles agreed to this plan without including Camilla, some believed it showed that even he realized that William and his family were the future. They thought it was important to make certain decisions now, before it was too late. Some observers have also pointed to Princess Anne's role in these discussions. As the late Queen's only daughter and one of the hardest-working members of the royal family, Anne has long been regarded as a fierce guardian of her mother's wishes. According to reports, Anne was allegedly one of a small number of people who knew about the original terms of the Queen Mother's gift to William, and she reportedly supported the decision to keep the property firmly within the direct line of succession. Whether Anne played an active role in the discussions or simply offered her quiet approval, her involvement allegedly added another layer to an already complex family dynamic. And yet, for all the tension that surrounded the decision, the biggest questions were still to come. A family divided by property. The British royal family has a long and complicated history with property, and disagreements over who owns what have caused friction for generations. When Queen Elizabeth II died in September 2022,
on the life and death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
She left behind a personal fortune estimated at around $500 million, including Balmoral Castle, valued at approximately £80 million, and Sandringham House, valued at around £250 million. Those properties passed to Charles, but the details of his will, like all royal wills for more than a century, were sealed from public view. This secrecy has fueled decades of speculation about what the royals actually own and how those assets are divided among family members. The Duchy of Cornwall, which William inherited when Charles became king, is worth over £1 billion and includes nearly 140,000 acres of land across southwest England, generating an annual income of over £23 million. The Duchy of Lancaster, which Charles controls as monarch, brings in over £27 million each year. On top of these official estates, the family holds a vast collection of private properties, personal investments, jewelry collections estimated to be worth over £100 million, artwork, racehorses, and other assets that are never formally disclosed to the public. This web of wealth has created situations where family members have felt shortchanged or excluded. In 2024, a Channel 4 Dispatches investigation working with the Sunday Times revealed that both the Duchy of Cornwall and the Duchy of Lancaster had been charging rent to public bodies, including schools, hospitals, the Army, the Navy, and some charities. The investigation uncovered thousands of documents showing how the duchies made their money, and it raised accusations that Charles and William were secretly profiting from the state. Critics argued that the deals were set to generate at least £50 million in the coming years, and that the lack of transparency was unacceptable for a public institution in the modern age. The situation at Balmoral seems to be part of a bigger story about family disagreements, hidden money matters, and tension among relatives. Even though the money involved in the cottage transfer isn't very large compared to the huge amounts of money in the duchies, it carries a lot of meaning. People close to the situation say that deciding who gets what at Balmoral is really about figuring out who is part of the royal family's close circle and who isn't. In this light, some believe that Camilla being left out is a strong hint about where the real influence in the royal family is going. It is also worth noting that the Balmoral Estate costs more than £3 million per year to maintain, covering energy bills, staff salaries, and the upkeep of its 150 buildings. The estate generates some income through holiday cottage rentals and public tours, but it remains an expensive commitment for whoever controls it. The financial burden of maintaining these properties means that decisions about inheritance are not just about sentiment or tradition. They are practical calculations about who will bear the cost, Who will benefit from the income, and who will be responsible for preserving these historic places for the next generation? And those calculations, according to palace insiders, were allegedly at the heart of the discussions that led to William's inheritance being confirmed and Camilla being left out. What this means for the future. If the news about Prince William inheriting Balmoral is true, it could mean a lot more than just getting a small Scottish cottage. Experts on the royal family believe this choice shows a bigger change in the monarchy, led by William's idea of making it simpler, more focused, and modern. People close to him say that when he becomes king, he plans to make big changes in how the monarchy works. This might include cutting back on old traditions he thinks are outdated, making royal ceremonies easier, and choosing Windsor instead of Buckingham Palace as the main royal residence. William and Catherine's move to Forest Lodge in Windsor in late 2025 was reportedly a key part of this long-term plan. The couple is said to be creating a family-centered base that prioritizes their children's well-being, education, and privacy, while still maintaining the capacity to carry out official royal duties. Balmoral and Tam-Na-Ghar fit into this picture as well, providing the family with a private Scottish retreat that is entirely their own, separate from the formal structures of the crown and free from the complications that come with shared royal properties. For Camilla, the alleged exclusion from the Balmoral arrangements could have more practical implications as she gets older. While she and Charles currently use Birk Hall during their Scottish visits, questions about what happens to that property after Charles's death remain publicly unanswered. If Balmoral and its associated cottages pass directly to William as the next monarch, Camilla could potentially find herself without a guaranteed residence on the estate that she and Charles have visited together for decades. Some royal watchers have speculated that Charles may make private provisions for Camilla in his will, perhaps leaving her Highgrove or another property, but since royal wills are never made public, the details may not be known for generations. People who study the royal family say this isn't the first time something like this has happened. When the Queen Mother died, her house, Birk Hall,
the Queen Mother has died peacefully at the age of 101.
Went to Charles instead of anyone else in the family. The same thing happened when Queen Elizabeth II passed away. Balmoral went to Charles, not to Princess Anne, Prince Andrew, or Prince Edward. The rule has always been simple. Important royal homes go to the next person in line for the throne, and spouses don't automatically get included in the will. But now, with social media and constant news updates, these old traditions are being questioned in ways that past royals never had to deal with. What is also striking about this situation is the contrast between William's approach and the way previous heirs have handled the transition of power. Prince Charles waited decades to become king, and during that time he built a vast personal network of properties, charities, and projects that reflected his own values and interests. William, by contrast, appears to be taking a more focused and deliberate approach, concentrating his resources on a smaller number of properties and investing in the places that matter most to his family. Tam-Na-Ghar, with all its sentimental value and its connection to the Queen Mother, fits perfectly into that vision. It is not a grand palace or a billion-pound estate. It is a 3-bedroom cottage on a Scottish hillside, where a young prince once fell in love and where he now brings his own children to play. And for William, that may be worth more than any castle in the kingdom. The question of whether these arrangements are fair, whether they serve the monarchy well, and whether they tell us something real about the relationships behind the palace walls is one that the British public will likely be debating for a very long time to come. Was this simply a matter of royal tradition, or does it reveal something deeper about the relationships and power struggles inside the House of Windsor? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.